Well, good morning, gardeners and homesteaders and everybody else who's interested in growing your own food and being self-sustainable as possible. We are here and it is mid-fall. We're on Sandy Bottom Homestead and there's a couple things in the garden I want to show you guys. We've had to change a couple more things. Like I said, it's just about being flexible, which is all good, but we've got some good stuff and some bad stuff to identify, and then hopefully some positive notes. But yeah, it's been really busy and super happy with the way things are going for the most part. All right, can you guys see the difference? Let me know below what you see. That's right. We added the other garden bed today. I just actually got finished building it. You can see we've got the boxes in the bottom. And I didn't want to put it in for a couple months, but I couldn't because we got the soil in here and I need more. Truth be told, I got a new truck earlier this year and it was a smaller truck bed, which I knew all of the issues that could come from that, but I couldn't get quite enough dirt in it. I probably could have, but I wanted to be safe on the weight limit. And we're just a little bit shy. I mean, if you come up here and you look at it, we could probably just plant in this, but I don't really want to. You can see we've got a good 3 inches in that back portion of the bed. Now that pretty much sums up the extra 2x4 on the bottom to account for the hill. But if I got to top off this bed, I can't just go get a little bit of dirt. So I'm gonna go get a whole nother load and top off and fill this one, top off this bed, and then we'll be ready to go. Didn't even want to build that bed until like probably December or January, but whatever, it's done now. And honestly, it's way more comfortable to do it now. You know, it's like you can get slightly warm and then walk in the shade and cool off. But we've got that planted, or not planted, excuse me. It is not planted, but we've got it built and we'll just top off that other one and move on. And plus I need to get more dirt because we're gonna put, I don't know if you've noticed, I've had these containers sitting out just kind of testing how I like the way they look. And we'll probably fill those, and they take a lot of dirt too. So we'll just keep adding to them. And we'll probably need, I'd say, another cletus full of soil here, and then probably a load and a quarter for that bed. And then we'll get another load for all the pots. And then I'm probably gonna get another load just to go ahead and top everything else. Since I'm already in the mode of getting it, it's not a big deal, especially since I've got my trailer for my little lawnmower tractor, which I call Cletus, in case you didn't know. It makes it way easier. I don't have to use a wheelbarrow or anything. Just load it in there, dump it in, rake it. It takes no time to do it. So best investment I made. Now our lettuce bed is doing pretty good. I know we did a little bit of that last week maybe. And you can see we're gonna have to split these lettuces up too. That cedar just kind of does not like lettuce seeds and it just dumped them. So we'll go ahead and split them up a little bit and then make some, you know, fill in these other rows. I'll probably do that tomorrow. My day is pretty much full as it is now. I went ahead and came over here to our Brussels sprout bed. And remember I told you that it was just crazy and it was just kind of all wonky. Well, I realized that a lot of the plants were kind of laying over. So I came through and staked them up and I planted them about right. They just were growing weird. And now that they've been, a couple of the plants have been staked up, I'll do a couple more. They're doing really good. You can see we're about 3 weeks off from our last frost and things are growing. So we're going in the right direction. And this guy right here who got sun the whole time, just look at it. That's a big boy right there. Yeah, I can already see some sprouts forming on it maybe. So we're looking to get at least one plant. Now I'm gonna set the bar pretty low. If I get that one plant to have nice sized sprouts on it, automatically it's a win. That's how hard it's been for me to grow Brussels sprouts. But I ain't gonna give up. So one plant, decent, I'm happy. But we still got some time to go. And speaking of which, I need to get out from in front of that bed because I'm blocking the sun. Sun is really important right now. Now I wanna bring you over here to our broccoli bed. And here's a little bit of not so good news, but we are fixing it. Here's our broccoli bed. Now you can see we've got some plants that are jacked up front. And then in the back, we've got some plants that are not so jacked up. Now, let me tell you about this. If this is about normal on a cool day, and it's not unheard of to see them wilt a little bit like this leaf right here in the heat, but we're not getting a lot of heat right now. And you come over here and you can see these plants. First noticed them, and it was right warm outside, and I said, well, there's nothing I can do about it. You know, I come out here in the daytime, they were wilted. Came out here in the mornings, they're perky and perfect. And I said, okay. And what I remembered was there's a couple things that happened. I had my watering system set to go every other day because of the heat, but we had just gotten out of it. And then I left it so it would recover. But then we got, I think we had we had a tropical storm. And then last weekend we had a front come through. No, take that back. Last weekend we had a piece of a tropical system come through. It was like subtropical, and then the next day or 2 days later a front came through, and both of those days brought rain. Now in the summertime I usually don't worry about that stuff, especially with this in-ground watering. It's pretty cool. I mean, I'll just let it water because the garden needs it, but this time of year it doesn't. So I came to the conclusion that these broccoli plants are actually overwatered. So that's the bad news, but here's the good news. I haven't watered these plants here, I'd say, in about 4 days. Now, I don't know if you can see this little guy right here. He's probably going to be toast, and that's okay. But you see, what do you guys see on this plant right here? You know, this one in particular. What do you guys see on that? Let me know in the comments what you think you see going on with this plant, because it's obviously wilted, but look at the crown of it. It's starting to come back. Now, the leaves are not really robust, but it's definitely perky on the front, so it's outgrowing the issue, which tells me that we don't really have root rot going on in here. We are correcting the issue simply by not watering. So you can see that of all the plants that got messed up, this one was pretty bad off too, and it's perked up for sure. This one's gotten a lot better. This one is getting better. This one has gotten a lot better, and this leaf actually feels pretty firm. Not totally firm, but pretty good. And then this one's not. And this is a good way to tell what's going on with your plants too, just feeling the leaves, you know. Now I don't want to take these off yet because they're not dead, and they have the ability to collect nutrients from the sun. I want to leave them there because the more that it grows, the faster it'll use the water, and then we can dry this soil up. So we want this soil to dry out pretty good. Now that being said, we are supposed to get more rain again, I'd say in about 4 days, and I do not plan to water that at all. So this whole bed right here, unless the good plants start to wilt, we will not be watering that bed whatsoever. And I actually turned off the water to just about everything out here except for the greenhouse and the trellis bed over here on the far end that has the peas that are just starting. We did not turn the water off there, but for the rest of it we just turned it off. And that's why I like this drip system so much, because in order to turn off individual beds, all I need to do is turn that switch and the water will not come in to this bed at all. Now this one we may or may not water. We're gonna just kind of wait it out and see what these little seedlings are doing. They're pretty tender, but they also don't use a lot of water. As the roots continue to grow, it'll use more water, and then we'll kind of step up and start watering a little bit more. But for right now, I think we're just gonna leave it off and see what happens. You know, we can play with it when you get cool temperatures like this. Like right now we're in the low 70s and we're getting into like the 50s to high 40s at night. You don't use a lot of water, and I'll end up cutting my water back to watering once a week. And I'll probably start that pretty soon because it looks like we're starting to get more and more rain. We didn't have rain for like a month after one of the storms. That's crazy. The project that got held up is running the drip line to these two beds, which I'm going to do a video about. But that little switch I showed you, this guy right here, I actually ran out of them. So I had to order a couple of these. So I got a couple coming, and when I get them, like the day I get them, I'm going to be putting this on. But we need to definitely draw out the, you know, we've got to dig out all through here. And then the water line is underground right here somewhere. So we'll have to tap into that and then run it. And I'll do all that on video, which I was supposed to do today, but I'm not gonna be able to do it. Poopy plane flyby, sorry about that. This bed here, the cabbage bed's doing fairly well also. I think it may have been getting overwatered too, so we just went ahead and cut the water off to that. But everything is growing. Now that we're getting these cooler temperatures, the things are just thriving and they're really starting to grow good. I'm looking for them to start heading soon, and I don't know if that's about to happen. Let's take a look. So my water line, my drip line actually busted right here. So I can't get water automatically to this plant. So this one's not even close. And to be honest, we probably won't even be able, if it makes it, we'll harvest it next spring, but I'm not gonna be overly concerned about it. But you can see like in here, these leaves are starting to want to look like they're gonna start forming. So I would say in about a week, we'll start forming a head in some of these cabbages, which is good. Also bad because it takes a while for them to form a head. So what I'll probably do is I'm going to fertilize. I'll run the injection, but I'm only gonna like inject the beds that really need it, and this would be one of them. I would say this bed and the Brussels sprout bed definitely need it in the greenhouse. So we'll be injection fertilizing those 3 beds probably a couple days maybe, depending on what the rain looks like. We 100% will not be putting any extra water in this broccoli bed though. Doesn't matter if it starts to wilt and we need to water, we may shoot them some just to kind of encourage some growth, but I don't see that being the purpose, and we're just gonna let it ride. But let's come over here to our rutabaga bed. Now I am thrilled with this bed. It is doing awesome. I came in and I seeded it, and then it was a little thick, so then I spread it out. And you can definitely see where the bulk of the sun hits this bed. So we do have to contend with that. But even still, we do have plants on this side that'll just be delayed. They'll be slower. If we can get them to make it through the solstice, then right after the solstice, they'll start to grow more and more right after the first of the year. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, I was looking at a video that I did a couple weeks ago, and they've really grown. Sometimes it shocks me because I don't notice it right off the bat, but these plants are doing really good, and I'm happy about that. And then in the back, we've got some peas, which I don't remember which ones they were, but they are starting to come up. And this one is wanting to trellis, so still a little small to encourage it, but we'll let it go. And it's already, must be stressed, it's creating a pea already. Way too small for that, so let's pull that. And actually, yeah, let's go ahead and pull this flower too. That will redirect the energy back into the roots. And this one is starting to form a flower, so let's pull that too. So it'll put more energy into the roots and the flowers now. Just something that small can make all the difference in the world, believe it or not. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Now we'll come over here. The only radishes I grow right now, I'm growing. So we're gonna leave those for now. They're doing good though. We planted them like 10 days ago. And look how big they are. I mean, it's crazy how fast a radish grows. I don't know what happened here. Probably got a little too deep or something, but that's fine. And since we're by the greenhouse is doing good. We're gonna shoot it some water this afternoon, and then we can come in and just peep at these onions. I haven't looked at these in a while. So this tray is starting to come up, which is good. And then this tray here, I don't know if you guys can see, we've got a couple coming up, so that's good. So this tray is just about to set off. And the beautiful thing about this greenhouse, especially with these onions like that, and we're getting these cool nights right now, which I don't think they're gonna stay that way. Usually they don't. All we'll do is we'll come out here and close it, and then it's 5 degrees warmer. So if the sun comes back out, which I don't even know I have my sunglasses on. If it comes back out, then it'll warm it up a lot faster, and then it'll trap that heat. But the sun was out earlier, so it's not that big of a deal. Our Seminole pumpkins, we've actually gotten a few of them. So you can see we've got a Seminole pumpkin here. This isn't, I don't even know if this one will be ready, but we definitely have one or two over on the long part of the vine that you can see it right here. I'll go ahead and cut that after this video, and we'll have that just, you know, let it finish out in the house just because it's getting so cool. And that one's going to be right behind it as well. I have no idea what they taste like. None whatsoever. Never had one. I've gotten 4 of them in the house and we have yet to eat one. We typically save those for later in the winter. We'll probably eat one soon, but got no clue. I've heard they're better than butternut squash, so we'll see. Black-eyed peas, because of the, I don't know if you remember the video we talked about nitrogen, but because of feeding the nitrogen here and here, they kind of got wiped out early. And we're just, after the rain, we're waiting on what's on the vine to dry, which feels like they're about there. So we're gonna come out and harvest the rest of these. And we've probably gotten, I'd say roughly 2 pounds of black-eyed peas off this little 4-foot trellis. So we've got a lot of black-eyed peas, which I'm cool with, don't get me wrong. The pepper bed is winding down at this point, and we're not even gonna be fertilizing it anymore. So the pepper bed is kind of doing its thing. You can tell it's yellow. We're not really fertilizing it at all. Just gonna kind of let it finish out. And then in the back behind it, we actually came through and planted daikon radishes to help till the ground. So we'll leave those for as long as we need to. We've got another row of daikons here that came up, so we'll leave those too. And then we've got some carrots here. So I came out, and this row I did not thin very well. I actually did a lot of time and I thinned out 2 different sections of carrots and then left one unthinned to see where I get the most carrots weight-wise from. So I definitely want to get some pretty looking carrots, but I also want to get more weight. And if I don't need to thin them, trust me, I'll never do that again. But we'll see how that turns out. But they're definitely growing, and they'll be a while because, you know, it's getting cooler, the sun's lower and all that stuff. As long as we can hold this frost off and let them continue to grow and bulk up, then the bigger the plants are, the better off we'll be for winter. We've got our parsnips here, very slow as expected, but they are here, you can see. And we're just gonna leave those and let them grow. We've got collards back here. I'm gonna come back and put some kale here probably tomorrow, and just kind of let that finish out. The collards don't look like much, but they will take off when they're ready, so we're not overly concerned about that. And I actually need to thin them, so I'll do that too. Over here, we've got a couple mustards that are turning around. They were a little rough going, but we've got new growth on them. So they're growing. These are the carrots that we spaced out, so you can see the difference. And then I believe we've got daikon radishes in the front again. So again, it's just tillage, tillage, tillage. And then this one is more carrots that we thinned out, and we just did the best we could. And then our spinach is starting to come up here. So that's good. It's just been very slow. As a matter of fact, this whole area has been very slow. But we're gonna come out here and we're gonna start putting up our tunnels soon, so our low tunnels. And we'll put a I'm gonna put a tunnel on that spinach bed probably, depending on how big it gets. And I'm also gonna put a tunnel on this lettuce bed. So I'll definitely be putting tunnels on there. I already have stuff for one tunnel, but I'm gonna go ahead and make another tunnel. And then we'll kind of just go from there and see what happens. But the garden is doing very well for the most part. I think the key is you find something that you like, the overwatering of the broccoli, and you got to take care of it right away and then move on. I identified it, I cut the water off, and then from that point forward we could start healing it. If we don't, then it's just going to go bad. But once you realize these things and you have these issues, then you start to understand how to stop it in the future and how to correct it. And that's really the key part of it. And getting back to back rainstorms does not help the cause whatsoever. which is funny because we always complain about water, but that's the downfall of having timers is you set it, you forget it, but you really can't forget it.